Hello everyone. As you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about the most anticipated spring books that are coming out. I went on Goodreads to look, and they have a list of 79 of the most anticipated Goodreads books for spring that were picked. It talks about how it was ones that are most added for like the want to read and stuff like that, or all that. But I got this list off of Goodreads. I am not going to go over all 79 because majority of them I don't know. They did break it up into categories, and there's some categories I'm just like not going to read because, again, I'm not a big horror fan, and thriller I'm dabbling in, but not a huge one. So I'm going to go over the ones that I am kind of most anticipating out of this list. And it is for books that have it where they're coming out March through May. So since we're at the end of March, some of these have already released, obviously, and some of these are still going to be released. So I'm going to again talk about the ones that I am curious about and that I am more interested in. And you can let me know what books you're anticipating or most highly anticipated reads of spring are. And yeah. So let's get into it. The first book that I'm kind of curious about is called Lady Tremaine. This one I am seeing everywhere. Like, people are talking about it, posting it. Like, it was in the book of the month options, I believe. And it's interesting. It sounds interesting. It's a Cinderella retelling, but I think it's focusing kind of a little more maybe on the evil stepmother whose name is Lady Tremaine. But it says that it's supposed to be a more historical fiction piece, like focusing less on fantasy and like magic and stuff, and more on the historical parts with the patriarchal oppression, the family dynamics, and like the cliche of the evil stepmother kind of stuff. So I am curious about that. I do find it interesting that so many people are like wanting to read it. I haven't seen anyone. This is one book that has come out March 3rd. So this is one that's already been out for a while. I haven't seen anyone talk about what their thoughts are on reading it, but I've seen people talk about wanting to read it. So that's where I'm like a little hesitant, because how many people have read it already and what are their thoughts, and how many people got it just because of the name and the design, because the cover is pretty. I like the cover. So I'm curious about that. I don't normally go either on Goodreads and just look straight up at reviews 100%, because as much as I get people posting their reviews sometimes too, I think reviews can either hinder or hurt a person wanting to read a book, because they see someone like negatively review it and then they're like, oh no. Because like that's how I was with Ruthless Vows. I saw so many people not like it that it pushed me off on wanting to read it. And then finally I took the leap and read it to finish the little duology, and I loved it. So that's why I'm hesitant about reading reviews, is because of that. And then of course some people spoil it, and I don't want to read spoilers for books. Sometimes I'm okay with it, other times I don't want to. So this is one that, like I said, it comes out March 3rd. I'm curious about it. I want to see some people just briefly mention if they like it, love it, or kind of like don't, in a sense. Like, I don't want full on reviews, but I just want to know like how many people did like it and didn't, without looking at reviews, in a sense, if that makes sense. Next one that I am curious about. Oh, Lady Tremaine, also, by the way, is by a debut author, Rachel Houchauser. I'm not going to say her name right. A lot of these I won't say their names right. I always mess up authors' names. if they're like hard for me to read and pronounce. But she is a debut author, so this is her or not debut author, but this is her debut novel. So that's kind of interesting too, that so many people like it or want to read it, and it's her debut. So next one is This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany, what was it? Crumb? I can't read my writing, but obviously I'll have a picture up. And this one is about two people who basically do a podcast that's talking about survival stories and near-death experiences. And then all of a sudden, one of the podcast hosts and her husband suddenly go missing. They disappear. And the other podcast host has to figure out what happened because they might become a prime suspect. And that doesn't usually end well. So this is one that did come out also recently on March 10th. I do have this one. This one did look interesting. So I am probably going to read this one for sure. But it sounds interesting. And it did give the names of them, but I didn't want to mess up the names while saying it. So that's why I kept saying podcast host for it, which might sound confusing. But yeah, so that one, like I said, is kind of interesting looking. And I've heard a little bit about it, and some people really like it. So it's hopeful. I haven't heard a lot, but I've heard a little bit more than, say, the Ladies from Maine book. So there is that for me. That one's all I have too for that. That's very brief, very quick, easy. Next one is actually going to be The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez always posts usually around springtime for her books. I have only read one, I believe. Well, two, but the second one's kind of a short novella story, so I don't know if it fully counts. But that one, all I know is it says that it's a brother's best friend falls for sister cliche, is said. So it's interesting, and I'm curious. And one of the reasons I really kind of liked it is because of Larry. She posted about it because the main female character's name is Larissa, which is her name and stuff. And the one book I did read of Abby Jimenez was pretty good. It wasn't like a 5-star read for me, but it was, I think, a 4-star if I remember, which was the summer book. And then the fall risk one I liked. I just wanted it to be longer and not very much a novella. So again, I want to try to read a little bit more of Abby Jimenez's books. And this one looks interesting. And I'm not opposed to the best friend, brothers, sisters falling in love kind of thing. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that trope. So that is all. That one too just recently came out. I believe that one was March 24th. So like close to a few days ago. So that one I'm curious about. This one I didn't even know was coming out. Like, I know it's coming out this year, but I didn't know it was so soon. And that is King of Gluttony by Anna Hwing. And I have read a majority of her King of Sins books. I still need to read the first one, which is King of Wrath. But for the most part, I have read King of Pride, Greed, Sloth, Envy. And then this one's King of Gluttony. And this one, like I said, I'm curious about because it's supposedly a billionaire named Sebastian who is about to inherit the family's cooking food empire, right? And the girl, what was her name? Maya. They've known each other since childhood, and she was his childhood academic rival, and she's one of the few people who knows him and truly knows him and stuff. And so, like I said, there's always like some extra like twists or like things in it for her books. And like I said, I know I think this one had it where they briefly were in the King of Envy's book, and it was kind of interesting there. So I did like that. So this one I am curious about to see how it goes. And this one is coming out April 28th. But like I said, I didn't know it was coming out so soon. I knew it was this year. I just didn't know the date, which I'm really bad at new releases and dates. So I am not good at that, especially with books or authors that I like. So just like this one that's next. This one is Rights of the Starling, which is by Devney Perry. This is book 2 from the Shield of Sparrow, which is one book that I'm still trying to read. It's one of my books that I want to read for 2026. It's on my 26 books for 2026. And this one, like I said, I don't know much about because I haven't read Shields of Sparrow. So again, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like an incentive to read Shield of Sparrows because I heard so much good things from Shield and Sparrows. So I'm curious about it. It is coming out April, is it 7th that I put? I can't even read my own writing, people. But April 7th, Rights of the Starling comes out. Like I said, I need to read book 1, Shield of Sparrows, so I can read book 2, hopefully. If it's good. If the first one's good. But I'm also really bad at reading series. So, we will see. We will see. And this is the last book that I have from the 79. I only had like 6 or 7 books that I picked. So this last book, I knew nothing about. I just know the author's name wrote one of the books I really cared about, which was The Wishing Game. So Meg Schaefer. I saw her name and I said, what's this book about? And I read the synopsis and I said, that's interesting. So the book I'm talking about is going to be The Book Witch, which again is by Meg Schaefer. She wrote The Wishing Game, which I love that book. It was so good. One of my favorites that I read when I first started Bookstagram, BookTube, all that stuff. So good. And this one, I'm going to read the full-on synopsis, which I wrote down. And that one is, the winner of this season's unofficial Best Character Name Award, Rainy March, is a book witch who is tasked with policing fictional worlds from intrusions and alterations. But there are rules, and when Rainy teams up with her favorite fictional detective, things get sticky and on a quest through various literary worlds. And that just, I love that. This kind of almost makes me think too of Throne of Nightmares, where again the main character is a book reader, loves to read, loves books, fictional worlds, characters, all that, and wants to go and actually does go through various books and situations. And so this one sounds very similar to Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco, but obviously Carrie Maniscalco had a little more fantasy realms, and this one probably will too. But I don't know, like, it sounds so good. And this one also comes out April 7th. And so I automatically added this onto my TBR. And I gotta check out, like, what it is, like, on Barnes & Noble and all that. But it is one that I absolutely am now wishing I knew about sooner. So I could add it and look at it and read it and, like, talk about it some more. So, yeah. But those are all the books that are from the list of Goodreads 79 most anticipated spring books. Like I said, tell me what books you are most excited to read this spring. The weather is finally getting a little warmer and stuff. Although I'm in Colorado, so we still might get some snow here and there. Randomly, it's always a possibility here. But I can't wait to read some of these books. And yeah. So tell me your favorite, most anticipated book and or books that are coming out. And I will see you guys next time. Make sure if you like this kind of video and stuff that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next Thursday with another video. Bye.